Testing, testing, 1, 2, Chelsea news.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
What's going on, people, and welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea news. In today's video, Jackson feels sad. He feels bad for getting sent off. Well, I would feel very angry with him, even more so if he didn't feel bad. The incredible situation with Jadon Sancho. Is he going to Borussia Dortmund? Is he going to Bayer Leverkusen? Is he going to Galatasaray? What, is he going to be sold to these respective clubs by Chelsea or Manchester United? A little bit more on the situation from with Victor Osimhen, because people are talking about us picking up negotiations. He is apparently the primary target, and we're going to try and work out these wages, because it's a huge discussion. These obscene wages. We're really going to try and do it together. And a little bit more on Dean Huijsen, of course, the hot young centre-back that everybody wants. And Chelsea have been described as favourites in terms of Premier League. Of course, Real Madrid looking at them, Liverpool, Arsenal. Arsenal have got centre-backs. We've got centre-backs as well. Lots to get into. It's going to be a ding-dong. An absolute belter. So, as always, I'll thank you for joining me here on the channel. And thank you for your continued support. How long have we been doing this together, you and I? 6+ years? A long time. And what a community we've cultivated over those many years. So thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and let's get into it. Okay, so Chelsea correspondent, journalist for The Sun Football, Osihmen, has tweeted this, told Nicolas Jackson is very upset with himself for the sending off against Newcastle. He wanted to fight for the team and didn't want to be bullied by the Newcastle backline, but the sending off incident is regrettable. Yeah, look, everyone's been talking about. We're 10 seconds on this, Max. It's done now. It is a red card. You can't appeal it. Maybe he thinks Botman's going to jump, so he sort of like holds his elbow out because he thinks he's going to, screw up his jump. He ends up elbowing him in the head. Whatever, it's a red card. He behaved like a knobber. His Chelsea career isn't over, but like I've said previously, his career as a first choice Chelsea striker is done, diddly done for, mate. Yeah, let's move on. In my opinion, look, just quickly on that again, if he becomes really good in the next 2 or 3 years, I'm open to it. But right now, and we will speak about Osimhen, don't you worry, we're on this. Jadon Sancho, the scenario with don't look at that ad because YouTube will hate me for it. This is coming from goal.com. Look, man, ultimately, Jadon... Oh my God. Sorry, the audio from this freaking website started playing and I just had to pause the recording to prevent it. Really annoying, and also if YouTube sees you sharing ads from different pages, it gets the arse with me, basically. So I wonder if audio works. It happens in the same way. Jadon Sancho, right. He's done all right this season. In fact, shall we just have a quick look at him? I know he's got really poor crossing stats that's been shared across social media. I do have a tiny bit of sympathy with him because that's not really his remit. He's got 5 Premier League... Oh, sorry, more than that. He's got 7 Premier League goal involvements in 1,700 minutes. 1,700 divided by 7. So he gets a goal involvement every 242 minutes, which is poor. You'd kind of want that in half the time. He has got 10 assists for Chelsea across all comps, apparently. And he's got 4 goals. 14 goal involvements. It's not the worst you've ever seen. It's certainly not great. He has won a few penalties in between. It's not been like embarrassing. He's already like got more assists at Chelsea than he has in his whole Man United career or something crazy like that. But the truth is, we've not seen him excel. Now, this is a really, really interesting situation because apparently Chelsea, and this is just what I read, Chelsea aren't paying a loan fee for Jadon Sancho. We're paying a portion of his wages with an obligation to buy him for what is now £25 million. If we send him back to Manchester United, we'll pay £5 million, which Chelsea, when they originally agreed this deal, they sort of reflected as, well, if we do pay that, it'll kind of represent a loan fee, and it's probably about right for, a loan fee plus some wages on top. What's happening here is it does look increasingly like Chelsea are not going to be interested in continuing with Jadon Sancho. So Jadon's future probably lies back in Germany. Of course, he wants to return to Borussia Dortmund. He also is being heavily linked to Bayer Leverkusen, which would be a great move for him because it was last season the best team in Germany, the second best team in Germany this season, certainly performing a lot better than his beloved Borussia Dortmund. Of course, Xabi Alonso is leaving Leverkusen for Real Madrid. But rather interestingly, a heavy favourite to succeed him is Cesc Fabregas, who of course will be able to hopefully connect well with Sancho and, obviously speak English, etc. By the way, I did do a video on this on the second channel. I do daily videos on the second channel, Football Yannick, where I speak about all the big stories other than Chelsea. So do YouTube Football Yannick, just replace therapy with Yannick and check it out. Yeah, so it does seem like there are suitors for Sancho. Chelsea could just sell him and try and maybe sell him for 30 million quid. I don't know if they'll get there at the moment, but very, very interesting. And the story goes on. I think maybe if Chelsea have a lot of business to do, which they've got some to do, maybe not as much as like others, certainly not like the Man United and others. I think they might maybe just pay the fee and send them back. I don't know yet though. We'll see, and we will cover the story as and when it develops. All right then, and Galatasaray, an interesting one. All roads lead to Galatasaray. Actually, we'll speak about Osihmen in just a moment. This is on Court Offside. Chelsea lead Liverpool and Arsenal in an intense battle for £50 million star. Of course, this is Dean Huijsen, the young Bournemouth centre-back, who is very good. He's 19 years old. He's now a Spain full international. He's winning Man of the Match awards for Bournemouth, as in he's not playing in the Galactico team from centre-back as a teenager, which actually is a very, very impressive. We haven't seen, I don't know if we've seen like any of our teenagers ever win Man of the Match. Do you know what I mean? I don't think so anyway. So it is a very impressive feat from the young Dutch-born Spanish international. A heated transfer race is unfolding across Europe for Bournemouth's rising star Dean Huijsen, according to Court Offside sources. Here they go with those sources again. The 20-year-old defender, he's 20 now. I think he's just had his birthday. Has captured the attention of some of the continent's biggest clubs following a string of impressive performances in the Premier League. The Spaniard has made 34 appearances in the Prem. Made 34 appearances for the Premier League side in all competitions. I think maybe he sort of came into the side, not immediately. His physical presence, composure on the ball, and ability to read the game have marked him as one of the most promising young defenders in the entirety of European football. Yeah, he is really good, bro. So Real Madrid continue a strong interest for him. And by the way, as a Spanish international, and I don't care how they've been floundering, it's Real Madrid. Should they come knocking, he'd go, then please. It's just simply how it works. The Spanish Giants are reportedly exploring the possibility of including loan players as part of the deal. We are through the looking glass now, where Real Madrid are loaning players to Bournemouth so they can get one of those players. In addition to Real Madrid, Premier League giants Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea and Arsenal are all actively pursuing the young defenders. Among these suitors, Chelsea are currently considering triggering Huijsen's £50 million release clause, signalling their intent to secure the talented centre-back. By all accounts, a lot of people are suggesting in the industry that the 50 million transfer fee is fine, it's good value considering of what you're getting with him. Despite the fierce competition, Chelsea are believed to be leading the race, having already initiated discussions with the players' representatives. I think we've reacted to that situation and story before. However, Liverpool and Arsenal are not far behind in their pursuit. Both clubs view Huijsen as a long-term investment capable of strengthening their defensive lines. Yeah, certainly Arsenal, you'd have to think with Van Dijk getting old. Bundesliga sides like Leipzig and Frankfurt are also evaluating the prospect of loan agreements. I don't think they'll go for a loan, personally, unless they think they can loan him and sell him for even more. and change his release clause or something. I don't know. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich have also expressed basically all the big teams in the world. All the big teams in the world want him. And it actually references here Chelsea have also initiated a move to sign Milan attacker Rafael Leao, who's of course very high profile. You guys gave very mixed response and opinions to Leao in the comments. You know, you can go watch that video. I would have, searched Football Therapy Leao or something, I don't know, but we'll return to that story as and when. And of course, Chelsea have also been looking at Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers. I think that will be dependent on if Villa could finish in the Champions League spots and Chelsea not, and vice versa. If Chelsea do at the expense of, say, an Aston Villa, I wonder if they'd sell the likes of Morgan Rogers. Okay, should we move on now and talk about Osihmen? I think we should, so let's do that. So, of course, the ever-enduring story is the biggest hole in Chelsea's side, with, of course, Andre Santos, and look, he's being linked to Arsenal. I'm not going to react to that yet. I think I've spoken about it before. If the story develops, we'll speak about it. But PSG, unsurprisingly, looking at Andre Santos, he's been like the best young midfielder in France. PSG play in France, they've probably seen him and they're just doing their standard. I want that one, bring him here. So yeah, Santos being linked with PSG and Arsenal, and he's obviously going to want. We've heard I'm very quickly speaking about this. Reports on the Athletic saying the plan is he's coming to Chelsea, rotational option with Lavia, he will play. But everyone's for sale at Chelsea. So if Arsenal, maybe Arsenal, but if Arsenal wave 100 million in front of Chelsea, they'll go, all right, there you go. And Chelsea fans won't like that, but. If PSG do and say, here's 100 million for Santos, it would be a little bit more palatable, but you still feel like you're losing, this amazing player that could be a quartet of Lavia, Santos, Fernandez, and Caicedo. Suddenly you're like, midfield sewn up, baby! But look, let's talk about Osihmen then. So I'm going to read from Football Transfers, Steve Kaiser again, whoever this geezer is. And it's a short read, so let's see what it's saying here. Chelsea are set to open crunch talks with Osimen's representatives. Again, reminder, I'll take you back, cast your minds back. We were negotiating deep into the night on deadline day, where Napoli said we couldn't get a loan deal over an agreement with wages, and then we said, right, fine, well, can we do a loan deal, Napoli, because you're not going to play him? And they went, no, we won't do loan deals. We're not going to do loan deals. Mamma mia, no. And then they loaned him to Galatasaray, which is top pants. Which is annoying, really, because he could have loaned to Chelsea, shined, proven he's good, and then earned his wages, made his negotiating position stronger when it comes to a proper contract with Chelsea, which, he didn't do in the end. So we're trying to strike a compromise on wage demands. Of course, this is the story. We've heard it from the big journalists that all Premier League teams, a lot want them, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, but all of them are like, well, we can't pay those wages, right? Which is interesting because, and I referenced the Erling Haaland, £500,000 a week for a decade. Mental, especially considering Man City were on a winning run. They bring him back in the side. They play differently. They draw blank against Southampton. Now, of course, I'm being a little bit churlish here because it's Erling Haaland, but still, like, it's a lot. To put the farm on a situation like that is wild. Now, the game is changing. Of course, salaries went up massively. You got Saudi stuff, PSG massive wages. Barca and Real Madrid have always paid massive wages. Real Madrid are actually getting sort of laughed at in Spanish media at the moment, saying they're all overpaid players, and look at Barca with their young La Masia guys and all this kind of stuff. But I do think the game is changing slightly, even though Man City is still, giving Haaland crazy wages. United aren't paying crazy wages anymore. Chelsea aren't paying crazy wages anymore. And Arsenal have sort of hamstringed themselves to a degree with it, paying Kai Havertz like an insane wage salary and all this kind of stuff. So teams are starting to try and be, not that there's a salary cap, but being a little bit more sensible. And Chelsea, of course, have been the most radical example of that with our structure, with very low base rates. But, of course, all the briefings suggest we are willing to break that. Re-enter Victor Osimhen. Osimhen, who's currently on loan at Turkish side Galatasaray, is almost guaranteed to be sold by Napoli this summer, and Chelsea are among the clubs chasing a deal for the Nigeria international ahead of the next campaign. He won't, again, I think it's Romano said he's not going to play for Galatasaray next season, and he's not going to play for Napoli next season. A lot of people are saying Saudi. In fact, let's just quickly Google, because I know this isn't the most helpful thing, but I like to see the next club odds to see whether money's being put after the summer transfer window. Hold on. New favourites. Juventus. I did not see that coming. Oh my God. So this is where the money's being... Chelsea are 1, 2, 3, 4... 5th favourites. Massive outsiders. Juventus. This is where people are putting their belief. Juventus, favourite. Second favourite, any Saudi Arabia team. I'd genuinely put them currently at the top because if he wants the money. Man United are significantly ahead of Chelsea here, which is interesting. If they get Champions League, I wonder if... Galatasaray again, but I don't believe that. And then Chelsea. And Chelsea, yeah, much, it's bigger, better odds for Galatasaray. That's mental. Anyway, let's go back to here and try and find out. Because look, there's a good chance he does go to Saudi. I do genuinely think. As exclusively revealed in early April, we understand Osihmen wants to join Chelsea. I don't know how exclusive that is, mate, when you've got John Obi Mikel on every freaking time he gets in front of a camera going, he wants to join Chelsea. But yeah, you exclusively revealed it, mate. All right. And that Chelsea wants to sign him, but of course it's complicated due to his big wage demands. The Blues are now exploring a potential way to structure a deal that aligns with the internal wage framework. This is what we were trying to do on deadline day last summer, but I guess it's suggesting we'll pick it up. Although Osimhen is unlikely to lower his salary expectations without incentives based in the contract, as in like he can make his salary. It really, really does depend on how much. If an agreement can't be reached, we've been told Chelsea will pivot to alternate targets, which of course we have many. Football Transfers understands that Chelsea have identified Ollie Watkins, Liam Delap as plan Bs. Osimhen has been admired by Chelsea hierarchy for several years, which is true. I think possibly since Lille. Before Napoli. And the Nigerian has identified Enzo Maresca's side as the preferred destination this summer, although the Blues may be forced to take an alternative target. Osimhen scored 33 goals and 8 assists in 38 appearances, which is, I know it's Turkish football playing for a Turkish giant, but it's still very good. He's estimated he'll probably look his transfer fee. I think he's got an outside Italy release clause of a very reasonable sum that most clubs like Man United, Chelsea, whoever would trigger. They just trigger and say, yeah, it's the wages because you want to, you're not going to put him on a 9-year deal or something because he's 26, but you put him on a 5-year deal, and those wages are still going to, dare I say that word, amortized to a lot. So apparently 12 million euros, let's say 10 million pounds a year. Is that much salary? Like for a superstar he is? I'm going to quickly ask the internet. Okay, so I've used AI, right? Now you guys can help me here. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm always freaking wrong. I'm just a football fan. So correct me if I'm wrong. I've said 11 million pounds. I've gone quite safe here. 11 million pounds annual salary, right? And that's been divided by 52 weeks in a year. That leads to 211,000 a week. To 211 a week. That doesn't seem insane. I mean, obviously Cole Palmer was on 70, got raised to 120. But I think Caicedo's on like 180. And he's a CDM, so can we not just give a goal scorer can't we give him a base rate of 180 and say, yeah, just make up the extra 30k a week in bonuses? Like, am I being a sausage here? Like, I know he'll be playing in the UK, and you'll immediately lose 50% on tax, so that will become like 100k a week. And for him, like, you look at Saudi, like, I can earn £500,000 a week without any tax. And you're asking me to earn 5 times less after tax. But like, you know, this is still again, if I'm right, I might be wrong. These wage demands are still significantly less than what Arsenal are paying Kai Havertz. Which blows my mind a little bit. Surely we can pick that up and be like, look, mate, well, we pay you 180 a week because you're the guy. You've won, you know, African Player of the Year. You've won the Scudetto. You're a proven goal scorer. Goals cost money. So you will get an increased base rate to 180 and you can make that up to 210 or 211. Am I being silly? Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below, and I'll be very keen to learn the truth about the salary situation, the actual demands, and the actual, you know, reality. Thank you as always for hanging out with me, liking and subscribing. Now you're at the end, go check out Football Yannick, the second channel. Why not subscribe to there? It's a wonderful community as well, and I hope to see you back here soon. Peace!